Hey fam, welcome back. Hopefully you're doing good and having a great day. If you're not, please let me know what I can do to help you. As you've seen from the title, I may lose my home. I didn't want to make a video about this, but I definitely believe that I don't really have any other option. I've tried programs and I've been disappointed. Now I'm sure there are some good programs out there that I may just have to keep looking for, or they may reach out to me, but I've tried programs and I've been disappointed. But to kind of paint a picture for you guys, I want to start from the beginning. And those of you who have been with me for a little bit now, and those of you who are new, I'm a veteran, and I'm a disabled veteran. In 2022, I was removed from service. I was kicked out because I was one of the vaccine refusals. And I didn't have anything lined up. I also divorced at that time, and there was really no reason to stay in North Dakota because I was stationed in North Dakota. And so I drove down to live with my mother and a few other family members to get back on my feet. It was there that I decided to take up any job that I could. And it started with construction. I was a roofer for all of 3 months. I started out at 17 an hour, then got up to 18 an hour. The reason I only did 3 months was because there was one night after I had worked anywhere from 12 to 15 hours, because that's what I would do. We would get ready to go out just before the sun came out. We were already heading out to the site. We would work literally until the sun went down, until we could not see the sun over the horizon. That's how long we would work, and it would be about 12, 15 hours. We were putting in work. We were doing pretty good numbers, just about as well as any other four-man, 5-man, 6-man team, because it was just the three of us. It was my foreman, my master installer, and it was me. I was the ground guy. And so eventually the master installer left, and I had to fill 2 spots, ground guy and master installer. And we had help every once in a while, but it was just the two of us essentially for quite a bit of the time. And so after all of that hard work, there was one night I had helped my foreman out with replacing his brake pads. Everything turned out great. Got him good to go. He's up and running. And that was after a hard day's worth of work. And so I hop in my truck, head back to the house, and I jump out. As soon as I jumped out and landed, it's like someone stuck knives into my back. And I have a very high pain tolerance. What I want you guys to understand is that a year ago, I broke my hand. I broke this bone here. And I hardly felt any pain at all. Don't get me wrong, it hurt. But it didn't hurt a lot. So much so that the doctor was kind of surprised at how much pain I wasn't in. Because they asked me, they said, "Hey, do you need any kind of pain medicine?" I was like, "No, I'm fine." They were like, "That's pretty unheard of." I was like, "Really? That's interesting." And so I want you guys to understand that if I'm complaining about pain, there's something seriously wrong. Because when I went to go take a shower that night, I could barely undress. That's how much pain I was in. And after that, I was laid up for an entire week. It hurt to breathe. It hurt to move. It hurt to talk. So eventually I got an appointment to get my back checked out. And obviously the drive there was agony. Walking was agony. And I found out through x-rays that my back is completely fucked. And so I put in for disability. And I did. I got disability. So after that week that I was laid up, I had put in a 2 weeks notice with the job that I was currently at. For two reasons. One was because obviously I couldn't do the job anymore. And then two, differences with the company. And then they let me go after the first week. Which is fine because I can't go and do the job. Makes sense. And the only thing I was really doing was just cleaning up the shop. And that's the only job that they could really find for me to do. And so it was only a matter of time before they were going to let me go. And so after that, I was looking for more jobs to do. Something that was going to be a little bit more or a little bit less physically demanding, right? A little more, a little bit more, I wouldn't say delicate, but a little more easier, right, on my body. And so I found a job just an hour and a half away. And this is when I was an absolute moron and I decided to move in with someone that I barely met. And I was working a retail job in a gun store. And I was also a range safety officer. The reason I chose that job partly is because I was having an extremely tough time finding a job locally. And so that was another reason why I decided to go down there. And it was again 3 months, 2 maybe, I think. It was around 2 or 3 months. And I moved back because, this girl and I, we had a falling out. And so moved back, and I was really desperate to find something. And so I ended up landing a job in a private security company. And I was there for about a year. A little over a year, actually. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't. Standing for anything longer than an hour was like pins and needles in the bottom of my feet. My knees and hips kept aching. And my back, of course my back, I would have to stretch, every 15, 30 minutes. So I just couldn't do it anymore. Now, of course, there were differences with the company too, but that being said, the main reason that I did leave was because my body just couldn't keep up. It just couldn't keep up anymore. And so I decided to take up another job, another retail job with AT&T. I wanted something that was going to be very aggravating on my disabilities, of course, and I'd actually quit the job because I found some very unflattering things about my boss. and they wanted me to do some annual training that I'd just completed as a onboard employee to get onto the floor. And it wasn't even 3-4 months ago that I did that. I said, I'm not going to do that. That doesn't make any sense. And Of course, they were threatening to let me go. They had sent me home a couple of times, and I just quit. I'm a no nonsense person, and if you present to me with a bunch of nonsense, it wasn't really beneficial. I was spending more money going to work than I was making it. So it just wasn't beneficial for me. After that, I was again pretty desperate for a job, and I ended up working at Walmart as a online shopper, but not someone who is going and shopping for people, but someone who is putting everything in baskets, taking those baskets, moving baskets, which are heavy. They're super heavy too, and putting them on the carts and everything like that, getting them ready to send out to the delivery drivers so that they can go deliver the products. And I believe it was about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Couldn't do that anymore because it hurt to breathe. My feet were killing me, my hips and knees were killing me. I just couldn't do it. And so now Walmart was working with me. I will admit that. I was definitely being difficult. But the reason I was being difficult was because at the time I was converting to Judaism, and there was definitely a clash between my religious views at the point in time and Walmart. And so I ended up leaving because of the religious differences. But even then, the jobs that they had moved me to, I still couldn't do it because then I would have to stand, for hours, and I can't do that. So I found another job, part-time job, because I was starting school. I got accepted into a program with the VA through vocational rehab to get retrained into a different career field that doesn't aggravate my disabilities. And so what my counselor and I had decided on was a 4-year degree to go into engineering. And so this would be 40-minute drive one way. This was probably one of the biggest mistakes that I made this year, or I should say the year before. Because school at this big college was starting the next semester, and so I wanted to get caught up with what I needed to get caught up with class-wise. And so I went to a community college. At that time, I took up another job, a part-time job, working in a nursing home as a receptionist. And I worked that job. I believe that was in April. I believe I started in April. And then I worked it until October, I believe. October, November. And I couldn't do it anymore. Because of the PTSD. And so now not only was my body, having a heavy toll, but so was my mind. I was asking for help because the stipends, the help that is supposed to help you through the education process and everything like that isn't enough. It's not enough to survive on. And if something happens to your vehicle, you're out of luck. I had to take student loans in order to survive, essentially. Because there were a couple of times where I had to work on my truck. I had to learn different skills. I had to learn how to weld because there were parts on my truck that needed welding. And so I did. I learned, and I welded up what needed to be welded up, and everything seemed fine and good. But then my tires. And my tires were literally bald. And so I couldn't keep it up any longer. And it was the stress of that, knowing eventually I would have to do something, trying to be proactive about it. Seeing the state of the world, the state of the country, everything, me asking and begging for help and not getting it, having everyone's back essentially had turned on me at this point. And I'm not, this isn't a woe is me kind of shit. I'm not complaining here. Or at least I'm not trying to. But, I had to drop out. I was literally having panic attacks. I was having anxiety attacks. I just couldn't do it. I could not do it. I was not in the right mental space to do it. Now, my PTSD had taken all kinds of tolls on me, but everything was really coming ahead at this point, and it was bad, man. It was really bad. And so I dropped out. A few months ago, I dropped out. Around that time is when I started YouTube. Because I wanted to find a purpose. And I wanted to start something, invest into myself that would eventually, pay out for me. Because starting YouTube isn't just something that I just wanted to grow just to, make money. Because obviously, I do. I want to make a living for myself. But the whole purpose of it was to help all of you guys. And so I wanted to do something that would provide a service to society that isn't so demanding on me. Because my body is broken, my mind is broken. Before I dropped out of school, I had to quit my job because there was there was a couple of incidences where a patient had, was literally yelling at me. And I was literally shaking. Not because I was scared, not because I was angry. No, don't get me wrong, I was angry. But it was the alertness. It was a little bit of anxiety, quite a bit of anger as well. But it was alertness. Anything could happen at any moment, so I have to be ready. It's that fight or flight instinct that was kicking in and kicking into high gear. And that's what PTSD does. But what ultimately, what the reason I decided to leave was because there was a mask mandate that had come around in the, for the nursing home, right? And I told my boss, I said I can't do that because I was stationed in Korea, and we did quarterly exercises. And there was this one exercise where there was an incident that happened. One of the South Koreans was hunting in the area, and there was an exchange of fire between a few of our guys. We had blanks, which if there's anything that really happened, we would have been gone anyways. But there was an exchange of fire. I do believe that the rounds that they had were real, obviously, because they were hunting. And so, given that situation, anytime I have anything that hugs my face, it reminds me of that. I believed at that point in time that I was getting into combat. I'm glad and I'm thankful it wasn't, but I definitely believe that I was. And so every time, again, that I have anything that's hugging my face, it freaks me out. I get claustrophobic, and I get very, very anxious. And I've had anxiety and panic attacks while I was in too. I just never really said anything about it because when you do talk about mental health in the military, there's such a stigma against it that people really play it down, and they attack you for feeling the way that you do, and it's incredibly sad. And so that's why a lot of people don't they don't go to mental health. Instead, they cope in different ways, and then unfortunately, they end up on the news because we don't take care of our troops. You expect us to be fine after everything that we have to go and do and see? We're human too. I've seen so much shit. Things I would rather unsee. Um, it takes a toll on you after a while. And the longer you go on with it, the more it affects you. And I was seeing that. And so I decided to get help. And after I dropped out, I decided to solely focus on my mental health. And keep in mind, I hadn't worked a job in 6 months, and so the therapy that I was seeing wasn't really helping me that much. Now, my doctor was an amazing doctor, and he did a lot for me. Some of the PTSD stuff he was able to help me with. But there was nothing left for me there. And so I decided to split ways. I've put in for jobs. I've gotten interviews. Nothing has landed. I've either been turned down right away or I don't even hear back. And so I just got my tires replaced thanks to thanks to the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans. And so that's great. But in that time that I wasn't able to pay my mortgage over the past few months, I became $3,000 behind. And I just put in for unemployability. And that's having a pretty quick turnaround, and I'm hoping that that really goes through. Because I cannot work. I can't work regular jobs. I've tried. Guys, you have no idea how hard I've tried. Um, I I've tried, and nothing's working for me. And so I'm doing everything that I can to be of use to society in ways that I can through the dioramas that I make. I want to make a business off of that, but I haven't made any sales. I used to be able to go out to my local flea market and sell the things that I had there to make, at least a little bit of money to pay for groceries. But I can't even do that because, again, I don't have a reliable vehicle anymore. Even though I got my tires replaced, my tags still need to be renewed, and they expired a couple of months ago. And had my bank done its job and done it right, my tags would be already renewed. I had plans to start door dashing because I know you can make some okay money from door dashing, and that's something that I could do, a few hours here and there to help pay for whatever. Because you can make. I spoke with a door dasher, a few days ago, and I said, hey man, what's the low end, what's the high end for the week? He said, I mean, low end's like $300 a week. Like, that's not bad. And so the high end, I asked him, and he said it was about $600, 500-600. So that's great. That's awesome. That would be enough. I would be okay with that. But I can't even do that because I don't have my tags. And so I'm in a very, very, very shitty situation. I didn't want to do this to you guys. I didn't want to lay all of my problems out to you. I'm supposed to be here to help you. But I need help. I need help. It's embarrassing. I'm not usually the one who asks for help. I hate having to ask for help. I've always been able to just figure it out. I don't know what I'm going to do now. You know? If I sit for anything longer than an hour, I'm in pain. I mean, I'm in pain anyways, but it really hurts. Standing for an hour, it hurts everywhere. It's getting worse. I have to free up my neck every couple of hours. At night, I have to free up my back every single night. This sucks. I've tried many, many different ways. I've tried. Now I'll have college debt here starting soon. Anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000, I think. I know that's not a whole lot, but that's a lot for me. Over something that was a complete waste of time. And I told my counselor, the reason why I was dropping out, and I was supposed to be taking a leave of absence, and he hasn't got back to me. It's like I was just forgotten about. The shitty thing about it is he's another vet. Perhaps I'm expecting too much, but I would at least expect another vet to ask and check on another vet. It's just like I was forgotten about. So I hope that I've painted a good picture for you guys, and hopefully you guys understand my situation. I've done everything that I can to invest into myself, to get ahead. But it seems like nothing I do is even allowing me to survive. Not in this economy. And it's just me. I'm the only one that's paying the bills in the house because it's just me. I'm a single guy living in a house. I've done extremely well for how far I've gotten this far. Most people couldn't have even hoped to get this far. Granted, it's because of my disabilities, but, you know, I still got as far as I did. So, guys, I'm humbly asking you that you would give anything would help. I don't want to lose my home. Because it's not just my home. It's home for Sky. And this is where I do my YouTube stuff. This is where I make awesome dioramas and paint miniatures for all of you. And I love doing that. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose sitting down and talking with you guys. And helping you any way that I can. Remember when I said that someone's 100% is someone's 5%? That when you give to someone else, it may seem small to you, but so monumental to someone else. This is what I mean. I hate to have to do this. But I'm just fearful. I'm fearful. I don't know what's going to happen to me if I do lose my home. So I just ask that you guys would help out. I'll put a link in the description. I'll also put a link in the comment section. Any little bit helps. I just want to thank you guys for doing all that you have for me so far. You guys have given me purpose. You guys have been a family when I didn't have any. So thank you. I mean that. Thank you. If you need me for anything, please reach out. please reach out. I would love for you to join the family. And I would love to hear from you. Because hearing from you guys is what makes my day. It is. You know, when I do my daily dose of dog segment, or, you know, when I'm doing stupid jokes online and you guys enjoy it, or when I make my miniatures and you guys tell me to never stop doing it, I appreciate it. So, please take care of yourselves, both mind and body. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And again, if you need me for anything, please reach out. Thank you. Again, thank you so much for what you do. You have no idea how much it means to me. I love you all. And I wish you all a great day. I'll talk to you soon.